Seaview Terrace, famously glimpsed by millions in the classic TV series Dark Shadows as the fictional family's Collinwood, was the real-life dream home of Edson Bradley, who pulled off one of the most extraordinary moves in American architectural history. In 1923, he decided to uproot his immense Washington, D.C. mansion, often called Aladdin's Palace, and have it dismantled piece by piece, then shipped to Newport, Rhode Island, where it was reassembled and joined with another mansion to create Seaview Terrace. Hi everyone, Ken here. Today we are touring this famous Newport cottage, comparing how the rooms look today to how they did when it was first built. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. Born in 1852 in New Canaan, Connecticut, Bradley was raised in comfortable circumstances. By his late 20s, Bradley had become associated with Paris Allen & Company in New York and London, which steered him toward major investments in Kentucky whiskey production. Over time, Bradley rose to prominence through his oversight of W.A. Gaines & Company, one of the country's most prosperous bourbon distillers whose Old Crow label made him incredibly wealthy. As Bradley's fortune grew, so did his taste for spectacle and grandeur. By 1907, he had acquired a substantial property on DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C., tearing down an older house to construct what would become known as Aladdin's Palace. It was as much a private residence as it was a personal museum. Turrets, a Gothic chapel with room for 150, and a 500-seat theater were only a few of the extraordinary features. His wife, Julia Williams Bradley, frequently hosted lavish gatherings that garnered attention in society columns, and the family's events became legendary for their sheer scale and imaginative flair. In the early 1920s, however, the couple began to set their sights on Newport, a summer playground for America's elite where ostentatious cottages lined the coast. Desiring to bring his palatial Washington home along, Bradley embarked on a near impossible plan. He purchased an existing Newport estate called Seaview, an 1885 Elizabethan revival house, and decided to incorporate key pieces of his DuPont Circle mansion into its design. Starting in 1923, workers dismantled Aladdin's Palace brick by brick, beam by beam, window by window, and transported it to Rhode Island by rail and truck over 2 years. There, architect Howard Greenlee orchestrated the massive undertaking of melding the old Seaview structure with Bradley's transplanted architectural gems, including French Gothic stonework, stained glass windows dating back to the 14th and 15th centuries, and entire rooms that had already been imported from Europe to Washington decades earlier. By 1925, the new estate, appropriately named Seaview Terrace, was complete at an astonishing cost of $2 million, the modern equivalent of over $36 million. From the outside, the place evoked Old Normandy or the French Renaissance, its chalk-white stucco and limestone trim punctuated by turrets, conical roofs, and carved gables reminiscent of the famed Château de Chambord in the Loire Valley. Now, over 100 years later, the rambling mansion maintains the same aesthetic, having aged gracefully in place. While the limestone is weathered, ivy has grown up the walls, and the copper is patinaed, Seaview Terrace has gained the character that only comes with time. The grounds, though mostly an open field, are surrounded by century-old trees, only adding to the estate's charm. Within its walls were soaring spaces and richly layered decor. The Great Hall, an awe-inspiring chamber with a ceiling nearly 40 feet high, was furnished with Hispano-Moresque floor tiles, massive wrought iron chandeliers, and centuries-old tapestries. As we make our way into the house in modern day, we pass through the vestibule and swing open the heavy grills to make our way to the Great Hall. The decor has since left the space, however, the architectural elements remain in earnest. The gilding still glistens on the woodwork, and the colors continue to show brilliantly through the stained glass windows. To the far end of the Great Hall, we see 3 archways, each leading us to somewhere new. On the left, we find the grand staircase, having stood still in time and held strong in its defiance of gravity. In the central arch, we continue through the long corridor, passing below a series of groin vaults marked by Gothic tracery. From this point on, we'll float freely between the rooms, starting with the drawing room. While it may be empty today, it was once filled with centuries-old European antiques, though it has held on to its chandeliers and fireplace. Speaking of the fireplace, let's get a closer look at the upper mantle's intricate relief work, then step back once again to imagine how all of this must have appeared back in Bradley's days at Seaview Terrace. Next, we'll find a grand Jacobean hall, ornamented with fine plaster ceilings above the parquet wood floors below. The rich wood wall paneling blends seamlessly with each door-surrounded fireplace. This is the dining room. Despite the incredible woodwork, it mostly would have been covered over by tapestries, and the fireplace mantle consumed by Bradley's prized antique Chinese porcelains. As we continue wandering about, we find ourselves looking up at one of the most dazzling ceilings to be found in any private home. This is the stair hall from his former mansion in Washington, D.C., which seems almost impossible to imagine being disassembled and reassembled. When we look back through time, we gain a good sense for the true scale of the stair hall, seeing oversized chairs and cabinets barely cutting down on the circulation space. Next up is the music room, which was always intended to be painted in a creamy off-white. We can only imagine how vibrant the tapestries and floral upholstery must have appeared against the stark but elegant backdrop of the music room. The mansion continues on, with many rooms, including the solarium, which is the largest of all the rooms in the house. There are even smaller rooms as well, which are equal parts comfortable and regal. Following Mr. and Mrs. Bradley's passing, ownership of Seaview Terrace passed to the Bradleys' daughter Julie. However, as economic conditions shifted and taxes soared, she could not hold on to the mansion. She ultimately vacated in 1941, and the house briefly fell into the hands of the city of Newport due to unpaid taxes. During World War II, its colossal rooms were converted into officers' quarters, echoing a pattern seen in several other Newport mansions during wartime. After the war, Seaview Terrace began a second life as a private school. One arrangement turned it into Burnham by the Sea, a summer boarding school for girls linked to the Mary Burnham School in Northampton, Massachusetts. When classes weren't in session, the estate went through a series of temporary occupants and, at times, precarious states of upkeep. Even so, it never lost its cinematic quality. By the mid-1960s, the mansion's imposing silhouette was introduced to television audiences nationwide as Collinwood in the soap opera Dark Shadows. Legions of fans still associate its turrets with supernatural intrigue, and that pop culture aura lingers. Over the following decades, Seaview Terrace, sometimes referred to as the Carey Mansion after one of its owners, continued its pattern of shifting uses. Parts of the house were leased back to Sal Regina University, which ended its lease in 2009, returning the property back over to private ownership. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. What did you think about Seaview Terrace? Did you have a favorite room, or perhaps something else caught your eye? Either way, let me know down below in the comments section. And while you're there, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an exciting episode of This House.